Bada boom, I bought a Bitcoin. Happy Sat Stack and Saturday. In today's show, I'll be sharing the latest Bitcoin technical analysis, as well as breaking news. 1 trillion stablecoin supply can drive the next crypto rally. Max Kaiser says China and Russia will pounce, come on, pounce on the U.S. and squash their Bitcoin dominance plans. We'll also be discussing senators press regulators on Trump's WLFI stablecoin, as well as the Trumpster pardoning 3 BitMEX co-founders, including Arthur Hayes, just blaze. And speaking of Arthur Hayes, he says Bitcoin primed to skyrocket to 500, even 666,000. Ironic number to pick, but nonetheless, we'll be covering this analysis as well as the latest breaking news, hints of consensus around Bitcoin as a reserve asset and Bitcoin arises, or in Brazil, my apologies. Big things happening in Brazil. Strategic Bitcoin reserve proposed by Brazil's vice presidential advisor. I'll be breaking this down for you. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market, all this plus so much motherfucking more on Sat Stack and Saturday. Bada boom, I bought a Bitcoin. If you're new to the channel, important to smash the likes, go ahead, subscribe, ring the bell, turn on all notifications to receive daily premium crypto news alerts every single day, 7 days a week, just like this. Today is pod episode 1947. I'm your host, JV, my sidekick, chairman of the SEC, Nippinator. He's in the background. He's directly behind my chair, so you can't see him, but he'll do a surprise appearance here in a bit. But anyways, today is March 29th, 2025. Bitcoin continues to correct. We're all the way down to 82.6 at the time of the live stream. And let's kick it off with our market watch, as we do each and every day. As you can see on Coin360, here it shows we're just above 83,000, down 1% on the day. Ether down 3%, all the way down to 1,800. Ouch. And ERC20s have not been performing well, and obviously their leader, Ethereum, hasn't been performing well. BNB down 2%, Cardano down 3.6%, Solana down 3.5%, XRP down 2.5%. And checking out CoinMarketCap.com. We're currently sitting at 2.67 trillion. So overall, we're back on the decline. Bitcoin market cap all the way down to 1.6 trillion as well, ironic enough. 61 billion worth of volume over the past 24 hours. And currently the Bitcoin dominance is coming in at 61.3%. So we're back on the rise. Ether dominance back on the decline, not surprised, 8.2%. It just continues getting annihilated against Bitcoin. And checking out top 100 crypto gainers past 24 hours. We have Flare up 2%, very modest gains because virtually everything correcting. Helium barely in the green, and Tether Gold. I guess I don't even know if that's a stable coin. No, I don't know what it is, to be quite honest. But there's a Tether Gold. I guess that's the gold-backed stable coin, I'm assuming, and it's on par with gold because it's approximately what the gold ounce is, $3,100. Correct me if I'm wrong, broskies. But as you can see, very modest gainers as the majority of the market's correcting and in the red. And checking out the crypto bubbles. For the day, virtually everything Rec City. Zooming out on the month, everything Rec City. It doesn't get any better, unfortunately. And checking out the crypto greed and fear index. So we're back in fear. 26 today, yesterday at 44, last week at 32, and last month was the bottom. Extreme fear at a 10. The silver lining is the lower this number goes, the more likely the correction is over and we get a pump, and vice versa. The higher this number goes, the more likely of a correction or a dump. And checking out the time chain calendar. We're currently on block number 889,987. We have 160,000 blocks into the next halving, and you currently exchange 1 fiat monopoly dollar for 1,210 sats. So pick up the sats, put down the gats, pick up some Bitcoin caps from my man Sergio over at bitcoincaps.net, and let's freaking go. But anyways, fam, I promised a little TA, so let's pull up some of the charts here. Just do some live action Jackson for you guys. Let me pull up a better scene so it's zoomed in a little for you. Should be able to see better here. Here we go. Okay, here's a 1 hour chart via Coinbase, via TradingView. We do have a bear scenario target on the screen printed at 79,000, roughly 2,500 below the current price action, currently sitting above 82.5 again on the 1 hour chart via Coinbase. Unfortunately, today has been very corrective, as you can see the downtrending slope on the chart. And zooming out from the hourly, the 4 hour chart, you can see on your screen, we do have a falling wedge followed by a rising wedge. Sideways trading action, but 2 bull targets on the screen, one in the red at 105.4, and then the super bull target, the teal color here, sitting at 113.7, which would take us back to price discovery, as current all-time high is 109.3. Ironic enough, achieved on Inauguration Day with the Trumpster back in January. It's been a hot minute, and we're about to enter April and put a bow on Q1 here for 2025. Let me know if Q1 lived up to expectations or not, what you were anticipating. We also have a bear scenario, 79.3 here on the 4-hour chart. And zooming out a little further, we take a look at a daily. Past couple of days, super bearish. You can see the red candles printed. We do have a rising wedge followed by a falling wedge. We do have a couple of bull scenarios here as well, one at 113.7 and one at just shy of 113. And then we have a couple of bear scenarios as well, one at 68.699, which would take us all the way back down to the previous halving cycle all-time high, which was achieved November of 2021, the first time we ever hit 69,000. So let's hope that doesn't happen. And we also have a bear scenario all the way down at 49, which I'm highly skeptical we'll ever see price action like that, especially with all the bullish momentum, strategic Bitcoin reserves, nation state adoption, sovereign wealth fund, pension funds, state adoption, etc. And also checking out the weekly here, we do have a cup and handle target sitting at 124,000. This has been on the weekly chart for several months. As you know, if you watch my stream every day, we always acknowledge it. And as you can see, we do get a new weekly candle print tomorrow. Currently it's Saturday, so tomorrow at around this time, maybe 6 p.m. closer to, we'll get a weekly close. Thus far, you can see we're going to print in the red unless we get a big turnaround here within the next 24 hours. And zooming out from the weekly, we take a look at a monthly. Survey says we're going out forever, JV. But yeah, unfortunately, March has been disappointing. But we do get a close here in a couple more days. And yeah, hopefully we see some bullishness heading into Q2, April of this year, right around the corner. And yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts. Where do you feel the pretty little bitty likely take us next? Holla at your boy. Next story of the day, fam-a-lam. Stablecoins is the topic. Headline here reads, 1 trillion stablecoin supply can drive the next crypto rally. Also, other news fact, the U.S. wants to buy as... Oh, shit, what happened? The post has been deleted. I don't know why, but I can just read it to you nonetheless before it got deleted. The U.S. wants to buy as much Bitcoin as it can get. China's holding closed-door meetings about how to respond. Currently, China has 190,000 Bitcoin, and the United States has 198,000. However, my understanding is 100,000-ish of the United States Bitcoin belongs to Bitfinex, which means China's leading the global hash war. And also North Korea has allegedly 200,000 or so Bitcoin due to their hacking of the Lazarus group and all that kind of stuff. Max posted, and let me just make sure you guys can see the screen. Yep. Okay. China and Russia will pounce, come on, pounce on the US and squash their Bitcoin dominance plan. And that's a little reference from a little Eminem that's always stuck in my head. Anytime I hear the word pounce, those bars just take over unconsciously. I can't help myself. But anyways, let's dive a little deeper into this. The global stablecoin supply could surge to 1 trillion by the end of this year, potentially becoming a key catalyst for broader crypto market growth, according to David Pacman. That's interesting. What a name, Pac-Man. Managing, and by the way, my favorite arcade growing up was Miss Pac-Man because it was way faster than the original Pac-Man, and that was my shit. I could beat that game 9 out of 10 times and have a little Pac-Man baby. It's fantastic. I miss those days. Anyways, I digress. We're in a stablecoin adoption what is that, an upswell that's likely to increase dramatically this year, said Mr. Pac-Man. We can go from 225 billion stablecoins to 1 trillion just this calendar year. He noted that such growth, while modest compared to the global financial markets, would represent a meaningfully significant shift for blockchain-based finance. Pac-Man also suggested, get the red ghost. that the rise in capital flowing on-chain combined with the growing interest in the ETFs can further support decentralized finance. Quoting him here, if we have a moment this year where ETFs are permitted to provide staking rewards or yield to holders, that unlocks really meaningful uplift in the DeFi activity broadly defined. Now, the current aggregate stablecoin supply stood at an all-time high, just above 208 billion across the 5 largest stables, with USDT Tether clearly leading the pack. Here you can see of stablecoin aggregate supplies as per Glassnode Analytics. This is the major catalyst that's been missing for over a decade. A major movement of people's wealth on chain that brings everyone else on. The growing stablecoin supply recently surpassed 219 billion and continues to rise, suggesting the market is likely still mid-cycle as opposed to the top of the bull run. And I definitely agree with that. You ain't seen nothing yet. We're growing up forever, Laura. Stablecoin use for the daily payments is on the rise, illustrating the efficacy of blockchain-based transactions. We are up to 22x in stablecoin volume since 2021. We have seen a significant decrease in the size of each stablecoin transaction, which points to the fact they are being used more as payments and less for large transfers. That aligns with comments from the crypto quant CEO Ki Chang-chu, who also said stablecoins are increasingly being used for remittance payments and as a store of value. However, he says stablecoin supply won't pump Bitcoin's price without additional catalyst. Next headline reads, Senators press regulators on Trump's WLFI stablecoin. That's right. Let's break her down, shall we? 5 Democrat lawmakers in the U.S. Senate have called on leadership at regulatory agencies to consider the potential conflicts of interest from a stablecoin launched by World Liberty Financial, which we're going to refer to as WLFI, the crypto firm backed by the POTUS and the Trump family. Well, at least it was. I don't know how much more they're backing it, but nonetheless, in a March 28th letter from the U.S. Banking Senate Committee, Massachusetts Senator, everyone's least favorite senator in the world, Senator Pocahontas Elizabeth Warren, and 4 other Dems asked the Fed Reserves Committee Chair on Supervision and Regulation, Michelle Bowman, and acting comptroller of the currency, Rodney Hood. That's the most gangster name of all time. Keeping it 100. Yo, my name's Rodney Hood. What's up? How they intended to regulate WLFI and the stablecoin? USD1, as per the Washington Post right here. The letter came as a member of Congress considering legislation to regulate stablecoins through the guiding and establishing the national innovation of the U.S. stablecoins, or the Genius Act, the GIZA, Wu-Tang. The bill, if signed into law, would essentially allow the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency and the Federal Reserve to oversee the stablecoin regulation, including for issuers like WLFI and USD OneCoin. Trump also signed an executive order back in February attempting to have all federal agencies, purportedly including the OCC, regularly consult with and coordinate policies and priorities with White House officials, giving the U.S. president unprecedented control. President Trump's involvement in this venture, as he strips financial regulators of their independence, and Congress simultaneously considers stablecoin legislation, presents an extraordinary conflict of interest that can create unprecedented risks to our financial system and to the integrity of decisions made by the Fed and the OCC. According to the letter, the launch of stablecoin directly tied to the sitting president, who stands to benefit financially from the stablecoin success, presents unprecedented risks to our financial system. And since World Liberty Financial, WLFI, launched in September of 2024, months before the U.S. election and Trump's inauguration, many of the firm's goals have been shrouded in secrecy. The project's website notes that Trump and some of his family members control 60% of the company's equity interest. What's your thoughts on this? Do you think the Dems and Senator Warren have a good point that there's a conflict of interest, considering he's the active president of the United States and he stands to benefit financially? I think many people would probably say yeah, but let me know your thoughts in the chat, and I'll read your comments out loud. My personal opinion, not that it matters. I mean, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, and sometimes, like the Nippinator, he licks his own bungus, as they say. But I hate to throw you under the bus, Nip, but we've seen it live on air so many times. My thinking is it probably wasn't the wisest decision to involve yourself with meme coin launches and stable coins, considering you are the POTUS. I don't understand the reasoning behind it. I don't understand why he wanted his name attached to it. Personally, it's clear he doesn't need the money, and it's just going to tarnish his reputation. A great example of this is Javier Malay's, what was the name of the shitcoin they launched? I think it was Libra. It got rugged so fast, and it destroyed his reputation. Now, a lot of people that used to like him don't even trust him anymore. And I think this can also tarnish Trump's reputation. But that's just my 2 Satoshis. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll read them out loud. Next story of the day. So Trump just pardoned a bunch of people yesterday, and 3 of them were the BitMEX co-founders, which I like to hear because I didn't view Arthur Hayes, who's the co-founder of BitMEX, as a bad person. I think he was just caught up in lawfare with the, what is it called, Operation Choke Point 2.0 and all that. But nonetheless, he's now pardoned along with the rest of them. U.S. President Trump reportedly issued pardons to 3 co-founders of BitMEX who had pleaded guilty to felony charges. According to the March 28 CNBC report, Trump granted pardons to Arthur Hayes, Just Blaze, Benjamin Delo, and Samuel Reed, who were facing a range of criminal charges related to money laundering or violations of the Bank Secrecy Act. Hayes and Delo pleaded guilty in February of 2022, admitting they willfully failed to establish, implement, and maintain anti-money laundering program at BitMEX. And at that time, the White House had not released a statement suggesting Trump planned to pardon the 3 men, but Cointelegraph reached out to BitMEX for a comment regarding the pardon and did not receive a response at this time. But since taking office January 20th, ironic enough, the day we hit the current all-time high of 1093, Trump issued a number of controversial federal pardons, including to more than 1,500 people facing charges related to the Jan 6, 2021 rioting at the U.S. Capitol, and Silk Road founder Ross Ulbricht, who was in prison for more than 11 years. Reports have suggested that the former FTX Bankman-Fried sentenced to 25 years in prison for his role misusing customer funds, aka stealing them, was also, I mean, it's such a nice way to say it. Oh, he just misused the customer funds. No, he stole them. Was also attempting to cozy up with Trump. Of course, he's seeking a pardon. He's seeing all these people get pardoned, and he's probably foaming at the mouth here. Now, U.S. authorities charged Deloy Hayes and Gregory Dyer, the exchange's first employee in 2020, with violations of the Bank Secrecy Act. Hayes, BitMEX's then CEO, stepped down from his role amid the legal battle. The reason for Trump's pardon was unclear at the time, as the 3 men had already been sentenced to a combination of home arrest or probation in 2022. The BitMEX co-founders were also ordered to pay $30 million in penalties as part of the civil case with the CFTC. The exchange's cases with U.S. authorities included an agreement to pay $100 million in consent payments to both the CFTC and the U.S. Financial Crimes Enforcement Center in 2021. And in January, a judge imposed a $100 million fine and 2 years of unsupervised probation to HDR Global Trading Limited, which is BitMEX's parent company. Next story of the day. Let's discuss the 500,000. I put 500,000 because I wasn't putting 666. Not my favorite number, but we'll discuss this target and then the latest with Brazil as a strategic Bitcoin reserve, global adoption here, and then we'll dive into our live Q&A. We have over 1,200 people on the stream, so thank you guys for supporting us. Headline reads, Arthur Hayes Just Blaze says Bitcoin primed to skyrocket to numerically interesting number before the market. What does that say? Before the market hits the top, meaning we obviously haven't hit the cycle peak yet. In a new interview with Master Ventures founder Kyle Chassis, Hayes says that Bitcoin is likely to print a series of rallies this cycle amid an expansion of the monetary supply. Now, personally, I respect his opinion because, in my opinion, based on what I know, he's a Bitcoin billionaire. He's an early Bitcoin adopter, and he's extremely intelligent. You know, he's the co-founder of BitMEX, which was once the largest derivatives exchange. I don't know if it still is, but he knows his shit, right? And he was one of the only ones calling a correction to 70,000 when everyone was just straight up bullish, and he was pretty right. We corrected back down to, I think, 77 in that range. But quoting him here, I think Bitcoin is going to hit a numerically interesting number. Now, obviously, I put a 1 million Bitcoin out there, and I hope it hits a 1 million. But maybe it's like 666. or 500,000 or 250,000, some round number that in the human mind is significant for some arbitrary reason. We are going to hit that level, and then we're going to expect insane things out of the pace of the fiat money creation. And at that point, it is probably time to sell everything. Hayes also believes that the BIDI has moved away from its halving base 4-year cycle, and instead its price action is driven by the federal or by the level of the fiat liquidity sloshing around the markets. Bitcoin's halving is an event that slashes the Bitcoin miner reward in half, triggering an imbalance between supply and demand that has previously coincided with the rallies, quitting them here. I think that the 4-year Bitcoin halving cycle and sort of the miner profitability and how that swings over time made a lot more sense in terms of the market cycle when Bitcoin was a much smaller asset class. But now the BIDI and the crypto are a bona fide asset class. They are talked about in every major financial network in the world. Every central bank has an opinion on it, whether it's good or whether it's bad. You have the leader of the empire of the United States of America talking about the Bitcoin and the policies. Now I think Bitcoin has transitioned from this sort of technological digital bear asset into the best smoke alarm for fiat liquidity, and that we have globally. I like that analogy, the best smoke alarm for the fiat liquidity. And previously that role was held by gold. Gold and the BIDI have some different properties, and that makes them react a little differently to things. And now I think we have a 24/7 market. Anyone with an internet connection can access it, and it is really just driven by the fiat liquidity. What are your thoughts on Arthur Hayes' just blaze 666 or 500,000 price target? Let me know your thoughts, and I'll read your comments out loud. And before we dive into our feature story of the day. But actually, as a bonus, let me share one more thing with you that Crypto T posted. Shout out Crypto T. She's a great influencer, good content as well. She wrote, Bitcoin did 30x after the 2016 halving. Let me know if you guys were around for that. Bitcoin did 8x after the 2020 halving. And 0.2x thus far after 2024. So to realistically think that we've already reached the cycle top at 109,000, only doing 0.2x when we've previously did the 8x and the 30x. It just shows a great point that we have a long ways to go. And I mean, the numbers don't lie. The first halving, Bitcoin was $12. Second halving, Bitcoin was $652. Third halving, 8,500. Fourth halving, 63 G's. And as I shared a little earlier, just from March of 2020, Bitcoin was only $6,000 post Novit, as I refer to it as. We even crashed all the way down to like 3,000-4,000. It was one of the best buying opportunities of 2020 for Bitcoin. Let me know if any of you guys seized the moment, took advantage of the dip. 1 year later, 12 months exactly, from March of 2020 to March of 2021, it was a 10x climb from 6,000 to 60,000. Then by November of 2021, we hit the cycle peak of 69,000. So Bitcoin went from 6,000 in 2020, if you want to use the absolute bottom after the Novit crash, $4,000 to 69,000 in 1 year. So will that happen again? There's no guarantee there. But what if history was to just rhyme, not necessarily repeat, and we got a nice 5x pump? This cycle that can theoretically take Bitcoin to 500,000, Arthur Hayes target. If you don't know, now you know. But anyways, let's freaking go. Oh, also lawsuits against, I think, Gemini and Kraken versus the SEC were also dismissed. That was big news the other day. I didn't get to stream yesterday, so I didn't get to cover that. But that's pretty awesome, to say the least. So I do genuinely believe, though, when I say those numbers, I genuinely believe them. So my bear scenario is 222,000, meaning I think that's the least Bitcoin will perform, which is a modest 2x at the end of the day, from 109, 220, right? 2x, worst case scenario. Base case, 420 for the broskies. Bull scenario, shit, hyper Bitcoinization, send it, 1.1 million. Why not? Now for our featured story of the day. Hints of consensus around Bitcoin as a reserve asset in Brazil continues on the rise, and there's the next Nipponator indicator. There you have it. It's going up forever, Laura. So as you can see on your screen, Brazil in the headlines. Also another headline here, strategic Bitcoin reserve proposed by Brazil's vice presidential advisor. And also a post here, Brazil government says Bitcoin reserve is crucial for national prosperity. Congress already has an active bill to allocate 5% of their reserves into Bitcoin. It's happening. Send it. Let's motherfucking go. Break her down. You should be able to see on your screen, right? Yep. Okay. Brazil's Vice President Geraldo, Chief of Staff Pedro, underscored on Wednesday the importance of establishing a national strategic Bitcoin reserve. Guerra was speaking at the swearing-in ceremony of the new president of the FPBC, which stands for the Parliamentary Front of the Competitive Brazil, and also Deputy Julio Lopez, while representing the government of President Luiz da Silva, rigorously debating the constitution of sovereign reserve of Bitcoin value is in the public interest and will be decisive for our prosperity. After all, Bitcoin is digital gold, the gold of the internet. It is a technology that allows us to transmit wealth from one end of the planet to the other quickly and store the fruits of our labor efficiently and securely. That's right, the only type of wealth which cannot be confiscated. His remarks highlighted Bitcoin's intrinsic appeal, particularly its digital scarcity and deflationary design, in contrast to the fiat currencies that can be printed out of thin air. Guerra noted that an official Bitcoin reserve might bolster the country's resilience and adaptability, especially amid global economic and geopolitical fluctuations. Spot on. Notably, Congressman Eros introduced the PL 4501 2024, which would permit the creation of a sovereign strategic reserve for the biddies, referred to as a bill as ResBit. And according to Biondini, almost sounds like Houdini, the primary goal is to guard Brazil against the currency fluctuations and geopolitical uncertainty by diversifying the government's international reserves. The text proposes a limit of 5% of the country's international reserve. Why so bearish? Which total would be 366 billion. Send it. For December, or as of December, for the Bitcoin acquisitions. Imagine Brazil, a population with over 200 million of us, and they put 366 billion into Bitcoin. We call this the game theory, fam. Brazil would be authorized to invest as much as 18 billion into the biddy. Okay, that's 5% of the 366, based on the reserve's valuation at the time of the bill, which when it was drafted, and currently under review by rapporteur Luiz Gastão in the lower house Economic Development Committee. The bill set forth guidelines for the gradual acquisition, emphasizing robust security measures using cold wallets and advanced AI and blockchain-based monitoring. The legislation details how the central bank of the Ministry of Finance would jointly manage the ResBit, ensuring transparency through regular biannual reports to both the public and Congress. And in addition, the text addresses the need for educational and innovation programs, including specialized courses on the blockchain, crypto economics, cybersecurity, as well as initiatives like tax benefits for crypto-related startups, and a technological advisory committee composed of experts into the blockchain, digital economy, and cybersecurity would also be established to ensure rigorous oversight and to foster collaboration with international regulators and research institutions. The proposal cites global precedents such as El Salvador's adoption of Bitcoin as legal tender, and the United States' approval of their Bitcoin ETFs, and China's investment into blockchain and digital currency efforts, as well as Dubai's success in developing a blockchain-friendly business environment, as well as the EU's regulatory framework for digital asset. You can see the global adoption. And in its justification section, the bill argues that Brazil is already one of the countries with the highest rate of crypto adoption, yet government policy has not kept pace with the rapid evolution of the market. And according to the text, the creation of the ResBit will allow Brazil to diversify into international reserves, reducing exposure to foreign exchange fluctuations and geopolitical risks, while increasing economic resilience. This measure will also position Brazil as a regional leader in financial and technological innovation, attracting external investment, strengthening our presence in the digital economy. So as you can see, very bullish coming out of Brazil. I mean, again, my understanding, I think this is the largest country in the Americas. Correct me if I'm wrong, broskies, but over 200 million people live in Brazil. So if they did this, that would be a major move as the global hash war continues. And again, welcome everyone to the Q&A segment of the live stream. And I also have a question for you. Let me know which countries do you think will most likely be next to adopt Bitcoin, such as like a strategic reserve for their treasury. And the previous podcast, we discussed Samson Mao tipping that it could be the Philippines and Indonesia as the two next countries to adopt a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And if you don't know, now you know.